Hello everyone. Good evening. Just let me know in the chat window again whether the screen is visible as well as I am audible clearly. Okay, so let me just take a moment and brief you in 5 minutes the overall agenda, right? So that should be fine with everyone, right? So you can recollect things also, and maybe those who have missed last time will also get an idea about that. Okay, so the goal for this session, right, that we are having is actually moving from, say, something like, say, zero to kind of mastery. Okay, not only in JavaScript, okay, but also in an overall web development. Okay, so this is what the primary idea behind these sessions. Okay, and now we are actually targeting the level 1 of the session actually. Okay, we are targeting the level 1 now, or typically you can also call it as, say, level 0, wherein we will be mostly working with vanilla JavaScript. Okay, plus HTML, plus CSS, okay, plus some common design patterns. Okay, for building single page applications. This is level 0 actually, right? And this level 0 will be spread across roughly about, say, 100 sessions. Okay, which typically kind of spread across about, say, 14 weeks. Okay, and most probably the sessions will be happening on alternate days. Okay, and there will be minimum 2 to 3 sessions per week. Okay, and these sessions will be actually based on, say, hands-on learning. So specifically, this is not like a typical video course, right, or video tutorial, something. It's not typically a video tutorial. Okay, so here you have to do assignments as well. Okay, and that's the reason I had actually kept it, say, 2 to 3 days, so that you have enough time to do the assignment, right? That is kind of an overall idea. So is it clear so far, everyone? Okay. Okay. Now I assume that many of you are already familiar with absolute basic of CSS plus JS plus HTML, right? May not be an expert, but may be aware of, right? Okay, just drop a message in the chat window. Yeah, at least cursory knowledge of all these technologies, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And as a pattern, along with whatever we are discussing in the class, I'll also be sharing some additional reading as well as learning materials. Now, the first thing that you have to do before we actually start the session itself, please ensure that all of you have created an account on Teach Yourself Coding. Okay, because this is where the assignments and the notes from the previous sessions will be published. Okay, and probably recordings from his sessions as well will be uploaded here. Okay, so in case you haven't created an account, just go to the account sections and create a new registration and create a login for yourself. Okay, and once you do it, please share your respective email ID in that JavaScript Masterclass Telegram group. Okay, so that I can add you all to the specific course that I'll be creating and hosting in this Teach Yourself Coding website. Is this part clear to everyone? Okay, this is where learnings from our sessions will be recorded so that in cases where you happen to miss sessions because of some urgent matter, you will still get some notes to refer to so that you can come prepared for the next sessions. Okay. So in case you have any issues with the registration here, you can connect with me in the Telegram and let me know as well. Okay, and I'll try to fix it at the earliest. Okay, so having said that, so hopefully, yeah, so this is the two primary things that we need to be aware of. And one more time, let me just briefly tell you about the overall goal, right? I'm not going into very detailed agenda, but we will be kind of spending a lot of time understanding DOM manipulation. Okay, we'll be spending time in understanding object-oriented programming, functional programming, okay, and patterns, state management, okay, async await, okay, and maybe building libraries and frameworks. Okay, I'm just showing you the top level agenda. Okay, I'm not going into the details of this internal, right? A lot of small things internally we will be covering, like some of the cool features of ES6 plus, right? All those things will be addressed and discovered as well. Some common data structures as well. Okay, we'll talk about global objects and a lot of other things. Okay, I'm not putting all the details in here, but I think this top level thing will give you an idea about the length and breadth of the course. Okay, and today what we will be doing is, and these sessions will be very short. Okay, it will span between 30 to say max 1 hour kind of initially, and later on after say 12 or 15 sessions, it will be for a max of 1 hour kind of. Okay, and we will be only taking one concept at a time. Okay, and our goal will be to master that concept. Okay, not from a cursory level, but from a very, very deep technical level. Okay, so having said that, let's kind of get into the session itself now without having any further theoretical discussion, right? So today, the first introduction that I'll be doing, so I'm not talking about JavaScript, variables, loops, if-else statement, and all those things. Okay, I assume most of you are familiar with that, right? Just drop me a message in the chat window. Okay, but we'll be addressing that point as we cover other topics. Okay, so as part of assignments and projects, all those things, right? Otherwise, we'll be unnecessarily wasting time. Okay, so I'll assume that you at least know one programming language, JavaScript or TypeScript or say C++, doesn't matter which language you know, but you are familiar with loops, variables, okay, custom data types, conditionals, constants. Okay, at least you are aware of. Okay, so I'll keep that assumption in there. Okay, but then we will eventually kind of touch base on all the other topics as well, right? As we do small projects. Now, the first thing that we are talking about here is, see, whenever you think about JavaScript, right? At the end of the day, what matters is what you see in this page, right? Wherein this element is being rendered, right? And this entire thing is happening via something known as DOM. Okay, so DOM stands for Document Object Model, right? This is an object model actually. So it gives you programmatic access. Okay, so programmatic access to whatever is being printed or shown onto the screen. That is what the DOM API will be doing. Okay, now whenever we need to manipulate data or text or element or event or images on the pages, we always have to use some or the other DOM API. Okay, in fact, DOM API is one of the API. There are many other APIs that we'll be kind of taking a look at. Now, once you understand what is a DOM, so internally DOM is nothing but a tree-like structure. Tree-like structure. Okay, that means there will be a parent node, there will be child node. Okay, and this child node can have other nodes. So technically, this will become the grandparent, right? Okay, these are typical hierarchies, right? That most of you are aware, either from this specific session or from any other past readings and materials, right? If you have a hierarchy of trees, automatically a relationship is implied, right? That part we already know. And these nodes typically will be called as sibling node, right? So this child node 1 and child node 2 are siblings, right? They are at the same level, right? This tree is a parent node. This node 1 or node 1, whatever it is, this is kind of a child of, say, child node 1. Okay, and this child node 1 is a child of tree-like structure. Something like that. A tree-like thing is created. Okay, now in fact, here you see this text called JavaScript master class rendered onto the screen, correct? This is nothing but an H1. Okay. Now, if you observe the DOM structure of this, you will see that there is HTML. Okay, and within HTML there could be body. Within body there could be an H1 tag. Okay, this is what is known as a DOM tree. Okay, in fact, if you take a look at this tree, you will understand that this HTML is at the root. Does everyone agrees with this so far? Okay, yeah. Now, why I am showing you this? Okay, the reason I am showing you this is because everything that you see here, right? HTML, body, okay, H1, this content, okay, all these things can be programmatically manipulated. Okay, including you can style it differently, okay, using CSS construct. Okay, and it's very, very important to understand, and you realize the moment you start applying this styling and manipulations to your pages. Okay, now having said that, there is one important method that you all should be familiar with when you start with DOM manipulation. Okay, and that method is available on a document object. Now, this document object is actually a global object. Okay, it's available in all the pages. Okay, we'll talk about global objects and other things. Okay, so this document object exposes a method called query selector. Okay, this is a very, very important method you need to be familiar with. Similarly, it also exposes a method called query selector all, and it takes some parameters. Okay, so these two are the first methods we are talking about. Okay, and both this method takes a parameter. Okay, and that parameter can be a valid CSS selector. So this is a very important point. Valid CSS selector. Okay. Once you understand what is a valid CSS selector, you can easily do any kind of DOM manipulation. In fact, that will also help you understand and create your style sheets as well. Okay, so that's where this method, this importance of this method is all about. But these are newer methods actually. It was not available in the old browsers, but then it's actually supported in all the modern browsers as well as Internet Explorer 9 and above. Okay, so these methods will be supported. Okay, now let's see how we can use this method and kind of do certain DOM access and DOM manipulation, right? So before I do that, so let me show you a couple of things now. Okay, so let me just open up the HTML for a moment. Okay, so is this HTML very clearly visible, or you want me to bump up the font size a bit, or is it perfect at this point in time? Okay, yeah. Okay, now let's see. Now each of you might be familiar with what is an HTML, right? So don't worry about what is this meta tags and etc. We will talk about that at a later point in time. Okay, the only thing that we need to understand at this point in time, there is a pragma entry here. This is a preprocessor called doctime HTML, and this is used by the browser. Okay, so this preprocessor is actually read by the browsers, and it understands what kind of document is being available in the subsequent section of this page, right? So that's why this pragma is very, very important. So this pragma tells that we are actually using the modern HTML5. That's what this pragma means. Okay, so we'll talk about this section in a bit deeper in subsequent sessions. Okay, currently what is significant to us is this body part. Okay, this is where we have this H1. Okay, and maybe possibly what I can do in here is, okay, just to show you, I could actually create some document. Okay, some structured data, right? So I can create a div here. Okay, and I could say this is div 1. Okay, not a very, very a valid example, but I'm just creating some divs here, right? And maybe I can attach a class to this div. Okay, so I am say attaching a class of say BG Navy. Okay, now this div, this is an element and it has an attribute called class. Okay, and this class attribute is used to assign CSS classes to this element so that we can style these divs in different font size, colors, and other aspects, right? All these attributes can be changed. Okay, now this could be very, very basics to you, but just flow go along with this discussion, and we will make use of this knowledge as we progress into the advanced part. Now, why this is important, right? I could have many divs like this. Okay, and maybe I have some other divs here created. Okay, with a different class. Correct, and maybe I have some more divs here. Okay, I'm only using divs as of now, but you are free to use any other elements like section, article, or paragraph as well, right? I'm only using div for now. Okay, and I'm just putting some values in here. Okay, and here what I'll do now, maybe I'll attach some custom attributes here to our divs. Okay, and as a best practice, whenever you need to add any custom attribute to any HTML element, always prefix it with the data hyphen. Okay, this is an HTML5 standard. And now after this data hyphen, I can add any custom attribute. For example, I could add a custom attribute called snack. Okay, and I'll say this is, say, chips. Okay, I'm just adding some custom attribute. This is, say, potato chips. Okay, let me create a couple of more divs like this. So this is, say, maybe something else. Let's say wafer. Okay, so these custom attributes can be created. You can actually create any custom attributes like this. Maybe I'll create a couple of more here. Okay, and here I'll say this is data fruits. Okay, and say this is orange. Okay, and also I'm putting the text as orange for now. Okay, and I'm also creating a custom data attribute called data fruits. Okay. Okay, and I'm calling this as apple for now. Okay, so there are a lot of div elements created, right? So you can replace these div elements with any other elements like paragraph sections as I mentioned, right? But for the sake of simplicity, I am actually keeping div everywhere. Okay, now one more thing I'll do is I'll simply wrap this entire markup within a parent div. Okay, and maybe I'll assign it an ID, and maybe I'll call this ID as root. Okay, you can call it anything. Okay, I am calling it as root. So if you take a look at this point in time, here you will see that you have a div with an ID of root, which contains an h1. Okay, and it has couple of divs with a class of bg navy. Okay, and then it has couple of classes with a class of bg red and a custom data snack, right, which contain chips, as well as data fruits which contain apple. Okay, and there can be more things that you can do. Maybe this also has an ID, something like this. Okay, it's actually optional. Okay, but I'm just putting it for representation purpose. Okay, it also has an ID here, right? Okay, now important thing to observe here is when you take a look at this div element, one thing that you realize is this div can contain child elements, right? These are the children's. Okay, and even these divs can contain other children's as well. In fact, the text orange, potato, all these things are child of the specific divs. Is this part very clear to everyone? This is very, very absolute basic. Huh? I'm just kind of keeping it very simple so that everyone is on the same page. Okay. Now, just to uh, understand what is CSS selector, what I'll do is I'll actually put some CSS classes here now. Okay. So let me just go to the CSS section here. Okay, and what I'll do here is I'll possibly create couple of classes, right? And what are the classes? One is I'll say BG Navy, okay, and one is I'll say BG Red. Okay, I'm just creating these classes that I am using in here, right? And then I could style this with a background color of navy. Okay, and this one I'll say background color of red. Okay, and maybe here I'll say the foreground color is say white. Okay, and here also the foreground color is say white, or maybe wheatish, wheat, just to distinguish, right? So I can see all this data and style. Now thing to note here is this dot bg navy dot bg red, these are class selectors, valid class selectors, right? And class selectors always are preceded by a dot. Okay, I could create an ID selector, like for example here we have an ID of root, correct? So here I could say I have an ID of ID selector of root, and I could style it differently. Maybe I'll put a padding of 10 pixel on all the four sides. Okay, and maybe I could give a background color of say light, or maybe I'll give a background color of orange here. Okay, now one thing to note here is you can only have one unique ID. Okay, that essentially means if you try to put a same ID here, okay, so technically the browser will not throw any error here, but this is not a better practice. Okay, ID should be unique in the entire page. That is one thing we have to be aware of. Okay, is this part clear to everyone? The significance of IDs? But classes can be repeated. Okay, now typically when you structure your application, these small things are very, very important because that will help you structure and shape your application in a nice, maintainable way. Okay, so for now, I'll remove this ID from here. Okay, and I'll keep the structure as it is. So this pound or hash sign represents the ID. The dot represents a class. Okay, and the CSS is actually mapped in here, right? So we can see the mapping very, very easily here, right? So the root goes in here. Okay, the BG color goes in here. The red goes in here and here, right? So everything is correctly mapped. Now, the next thing that we have to do is we have to try out some say DOM activity, right? Maybe using JavaScript, I need to select some elements in here. Now remember the two methods that I talked about, query selector and query selector all. Okay, so that is a method we will try to use here, and we'll see some implications of both the method, right? Why those methods are there and how it can be applied. So for the moment, I'll hide this JavaScript pane. I'll bring up the CSS pane, and I'll bring up the JavaScript pane in here, right? So that we can all see all the three items in single page here. Okay, and the first thing I'll do in here is I'll say let element equal to document dot query selector. Okay, and I'll pass in a valid selector of div. So div is a valid selector, right? Okay, and if you observe here, you will observe that there are a lot of divs. You have a div with an ID of root, you have this div, you have this div, you have this div, right? Lot of divs are there. So what do you think this specific command will select? Okay, just make a guess and put your thoughts in the chat window. So what do you think this element variable will contain? Okay, Sagar all divs, Saurabh first divs, first matching result. Harshal is telling all divs. Okay, any other thought? Okay, yeah. Okay, nothing. Note here. We are talking about document.query selector, right? So selector will always match only one element. Query selector method. So it will match the first matching element. Is it clear, everyone, so far? So whatever is the first element here, div ID root, right? That will be available to us. Okay. I can inspect that, right? So probably I'll open up this Chrome developer tool. Okay, I'll go to the console. Okay, and I will execute this code manually. And you can see in the output here, you have a div with an ID of root selected. Is this clear, everyone, so far? And since that is a parent node, right, it automatically contains all the child. I think this is clear to everyone right now. Okay, but see now, I'll make slight change to this application. Okay, now see what I'm doing in here is, I'm actually coming to this body tag and I'm creating one more div with an ID of, say, overlay. Now, if you take a look at the output here, you are not getting the root element. You are actually getting the div with an ID of overlay selected. Why? Because this is the first matching element. Is this very, very clear? So when you use document.query selector, no matter what you are passing to it, even though there are multiple elements, it will give you the first matching selector. Okay, that's very, very important to understand. Having said that, okay, now if you go back to your application here, and instead of, okay, let me also clear the console here. Okay, so that we have a clean output window every time when we execute the code, right? And now here what I'll do is I'll say, let elements equal to document dot query selector all, and I'll pass in the div now. Okay, now you can take a guess what will happen, right? What will be the output? Anyone can take a guess of this. What will be the output of this console.log elements? All divs. Okay, now when you say all divs, important thing to note is, so you are at the global level, right? All the divs means you will have div ID overlay and div ID root. Okay, but let's check the output, how it behaves now. Okay, so I'll open up this debug window. Okay, and you'll observe, okay, I said overlay and root, right? But since we are saying document.query selector all, okay, so you'll observe here, the output contains a node list of 10 divs here. Is very clear to everyone? Not only the top level divs, ID, overlay and root, all the divs are being matched. Okay, so everything will be matched, no matter what. Okay, now these two methods, they are very, very important. Okay, and once you understand these methods, over a period of time, you will be able to do any kind of manipulation and DOM selection specifically. Okay, now one other thing that you have to note here is this takes standard CSS selectors. Now, what is a standard CSS selector? That is very, very important to understand. Okay, so we'll be going through all those things, but let me show you very quickly what it means actually. Ideally, you always refer to the MDN CSS selectors. Okay, but sometimes these MDN documents may not be very, very easy to navigate actually. Okay, so you can go through it, you can read it, and you can understand it. Okay, but then an easier way is for quick understanding, you can go to W3 schools. Okay, but always verify with MDN first. Okay, because this W3 schools will give you a list of everything that is available at that point in time, correct? So see, if you take a look at CSS selectors, so these are all the selectors that you can use with document.query selector and document.query selector all. These are all valid CSS selectors. Okay, you have a class. Okay, you have a class within a class. Okay, you have a descendant selector. You have an ID selector. You have a all selector. You have an element selector like p, div, etc. Okay, you have an immediate element selector. Okay, you have some tilde signs in here. So these are all selectors. Okay, now knowing these selectors, the moment you realize these are selectors, now immediately you realize you can actually target any DOM element, right, using CSS selectors, because all these selectors will help you out. Okay, just to show you an example of this, right? Maybe I'll come back to this application again for a moment. And now what I'll do here is, okay, I'll just bump up this screen size. And now my requirement is, I would like to select all the div elements, but where the data snack is equal to chips. Okay, in fact, I could have more elements here, right? Just to show you, maybe I'll come back in here and I'll create one more div. Okay, and here the data snacks, I will not put it to chips, I will make it as samosa. Okay, so now if you take a look at this output, you will see that we have three divs that contain a data snack attribute. Okay, and two of them contains the value chips and one contains the value samosa. Is this clear to everyone so far, this HTML structure? Okay, now there are various ways to select the element, right? But let's see how we can use this knowledge of CSS3 attribute, and let's target the div that contains a data snack of chips. Okay, that's our goal, right? So what I can do is I can go back to my code here. Okay, and I'll say I'll say element say chips equal to document dot query selector. I am letting query selector all here, and I'll say, so here what I need to pass, I need to pass this data snack. Now we know that this data snack is an attribute of the div. That means we have to use CSS3 attribute selector. Okay, and CSS3 attribute selector goes within a square bracket. Okay, and right within the square bracket I could write data snack. Okay, and the value that I am looking out for is chips. So this is my selector, and I could then come back here and log all the chips simply like this. Okay, so let's take a look at the output and then we will come back to the code one more time. Okay, so once I do this, okay, I'll just put this on new line so that it becomes easily readable. Okay, I'll open up the inspect window. Okay, I'll go to the console, and here you'll see there are two node lists selected. Okay, and that actually contains, if you observe this value, you will see these are both the element that contains that data snacks equal to chips. Is this very, very clear to everyone now why these CSS selectors are important? Because once you understand, you will be able to target any elements. Okay, I could have used other selectors also, right? I could have used the div selector with some other parameters, but here I wanted to exactly target only these elements. I could have also used ID selectors, but then ID selectors I would be needed to use 2 times, right? Okay, now let's see what happens in here. So before I move further with a couple of more examples, is this selector clear to everyone so far? How this attribute selector is used? Okay, and in real code, these chips can come from a variable, okay? Instead of hard coding, you can take it as a parameter also. Right now, I am simply hard coding it here. Okay, now take a look, one more thing in here, just as a deviation from our discussion. Okay, now one important observation that you need to be aware of at this point in time is this document.query selector all right. It's actually returning you something called as a node list. Okay, now node list is a different object, but not very, very significant as of now. But be aware it's a node list element. Now, just a slight deviation. Let me show you one more thing. Here we are selecting some elements. Okay, so here let's select some element using IDs. Okay, now I would actually wanted to show you a couple of things in here. Okay, and that's the reason I'm using these methods here. So here, if you observe, we have two divs, correct? And one has an ID of 1 and the other has an ID of 2. Okay, let's see how we can select it. Now, most of you know how you can do this, right? Just drop in a message in the chat window. How can you select this element with an ID of 1 and 2? Okay, I'll come to those questions. Huh? Okay, before that, just let me know, how do you select an element with an ID of 1 and 2? What selector can you use? Hash, right? Correct. So there are multiple ways to do this. Okay, so let me observe, and I'll come back to your question also, queries also. So I could say let element 1 equal to document dot query selector ID of something like this, correct? So let's see what will happen now. You will immediately get an error message in this window here. Okay, and the error message is failed to execute query selector on document hash 1 is not a valid selector. The reason being, even though technically, programmatically, we can add these IDs as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but ideally when you use an ID selector, it has to be a string. It should start with a string. It is clear why this error is there, everyone? Okay, because if you think about CSS selector, right, hash 1 is not a valid CSS selector. Okay, that's right route. We can use the query selector and the attribute element. That will work. Okay, so also watch out for the comments. You will get some other solutions also. Okay, the reason I'm showing you this is to be aware that as a good practice, this ID should never be numerically named. Okay, so let me correct this out. Now I could simply come back here and say E1 and E2. Okay, E1, E2 and E3, right? Because it's a better practice, we should always have a string representation in the ID. Okay, so once we are aware of this, I could go back here and select E1. Okay, now there won't be that error. I'll simply log that value now. Okay, and you can see that output here in the right side, right? This div with an ID of 1 is being selected. Okay, alternate way, old way is this. Okay, this is the old way. Okay, the output will be same. The output will be same. Okay, Harshal, the reason is because ID numeric 1 is not a valid CSS selector. Remember what we mentioned? Query selector and query selector all only take valid CSS selector, right? But hash 1, for example, I cannot come back to my CSS here, okay, just to test it out and create something called hash 1. This is not valid. Okay, as a better practice, ID should always contain a string. Okay, string can be followed by number. Is it clear, Harshal? Okay, but then if you are programmatically assigning, right, a JavaScript will not throw an error. But we have to be aware of, as a better practice, this is how we have to construct our pages. Okay, now once we are aware of this, okay, there are a couple of other things that we would like to note here. Okay, now there was a question, right? How to select all the elements using that has a data attribute of snacks and things like that, right? So it's very, very obvious, right? See, what you can do is, maybe I could simply come back in here. I could say select all elements that has data snack. Okay, now take a guess. What would be the guess actually? Can someone take a guess on this? Okay, so my requirement is I would like to select all the element that has a data snack attribute. I don't care about the value here. Okay, so the data snack can contain maybe chips, or it can contain say samosa, doesn't matter. Okay, what could be the possible selector that you can use? Take a guess and let me know. Correct. Yeah. So yeah, once you understand what is a CSS selector, right, it becomes very, very easy. So I could simply come back and say here, let all snacks equal to document dot query selector all. All is important here. Okay. And I will say the selector is an attribute selector and it should contain data hyphen snack, because we don't care whether it's samosa or chips, correct? And then I could simply log console.log all snacks. And then I could open the window here. Okay, and go to the console and you get all the snacks um, being logged here, right? So let me just scroll down here. Okay, and you will get this node list selected, see here. All snacks point to these three divs, right? Because those are the three divs that contains the value. Is this very clear, everyone? So the moment you understand what is a CSS selector, you will be able to query any DOM element. In fact, your assignment for today will be to just go through these CSS selectors and try out different things. Okay, because the moment you do this, in the next session, no matter what DOM structure I will give it to you, you will be able to query and select any element, any nested element. Is the assignment very, very clear to everyone for next session? Okay, I'll be sharing this link. Don't worry about that. Okay, so as I said, right, our goal is to master everything, correct? So I'll be demoing you the features. I will be demoing you the better practices. Okay, I'll be doing couple of exercises. Then I'll be giving you materials to code and practice. Okay, if everyone agrees, give me a thumbs up in the chat window. Okay, thanks. Okay, so I think this today's short session was kind of a quick revision, right? So I wanted to keep it very, very simple, and I wanted to kind of set the stage for subsequent sessions. Okay, and our goal will still be the same. No matter which functions we talk about, we'll try to understand it from a very, very deep level. So is the idea of query selector and query selector all, and more importantly, the concept of ID is clear to everyone so far? Okay, so for some of you, this could be a revision. Okay, but for some of you, this could be a new thing depending on your level of experience with JavaScript. Okay, so in case those who are already familiar with these things, don't worry, just go with the flow and we will touch base on the advanced topics and the applications of this. Okay, those who are new to these topics, a good exercise will be to try out all these selectors. But we'll be talking about all these things as we go. Okay, but you have to try it out before I do. Is that clear, everyone? Okay. So now, before I wind up for today's session, so I'll take a deviation. I'll always take a deviation. So one is the core topic and then some common patterns. So that is what our mode of operation will be to take it further, right? So now we are talking about DOM. That's okay. So on one side, we are trying to master DOM. Okay. But on the other side, we also have to try to master writing clean coding practices. So on one side, we have to master the core concepts. On the other side, we have to master writing clean coding practices, right? So now one thing that I would like to discuss here is this. Okay, there will reading materials on this as well.